What's going on, beautiful people? It's your boy here, Westy from West the Critic, the one channel on YouTube where we actually give you an honest human review on cinema. If this is your first time seeing me, definitely follow me on my social media, Instagram and Twitter at West the Critic, and let's get into it. The way that I do my videos, I break it up. I start with the actors, then I go to the script, and then I give you the rating. And the rating allows you to either decide if you want to watch the film or not. Okay, and if at that point you decide that you want to go watch the film because of the rating, pause the video, because after the rating I get into spoiler territory and I talk about the full film and I give my full West the Critic review. All right, the particular film that we're talking about right now, you saw the title of this video. We're talking about Emancipation, baby. The controversial Will Smith has done a film. All right, it's the first film after the whole debacle and the slap. Is it any good? Should you watch it? Is it worth your time and or effort? All right, because time is expensive nowadays, and what you decide to give your time to, baby, you can either be a high spender or a cheap one, right? Ooh, read into that. Anyways, first category is acting, and the only actor that we need to talk about in this entire film is who the film is about. He's the only one prominently showcased. Will Smith, AKA Peter. Phenomenal job. Will Smith is a legend. Will Smith is an icon living. Will Smith is a phenomenal actor. Will Smith has acted in so many movies and has played so many different roles. He showcased his range, okay? There are a lot of actors, black and white, prominently known and not so known, that can't seem to shake their personality and who they are and the roles that they play. They seem to be the same character over and over and over and over and over again, right? But a lot of people love them, so it is what it is. Will Smith is not that guy. I used to think he was that guy, right? Because the one thing that you can say about Will Smith is that no matter what, you're gonna see Will Smith in every film that he does. It could be a pinch of Will Smith or it could be a shaking of Will Smith on the food. But no matter what, you're gonna get some sense of, or a little hint of seasoning, of Will Smith's seasoning on the food. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that that's a good thing, to get that Will Smith flavor on a roll. Because if Samuel L. Jackson played Peter, it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be. But anyways, let's start with this. Let's get into the script. We already know the story. We've seen it over and over again. Okay, black people were slaves. White people were colonists. They took over our lands. They made us slaves. They made us do work. They whipped us and all of that. We've seen that over and over and over again, and I'm tired of seeing it, to be honest. And you know, I saw this interview where Will Smith was saying that Willow had said another slave movie, and Will Smith's response to that was that it's not a slave movie, it's a freedom movie. But in all the slave movies, they're running towards freedom. But whatever, we connect to what we connect to, and how we connect to it is how we connect to it. But I'm tired of seeing these films. And to be honest, the only reason why I got an Apple Plus subscription was to watch Emancipation, because Will Smith was in it. If any other actor had played this role, I would have not wasted my time and or free subscription, okay, to watch this film. I didn't care. I don't care that much, and I would not have cared that much. The rating on this film. Let's talk about the rating everywhere else, okay? Audience rating summary on Google is a 4.2. IMDb gives it a 6 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 45%. Metacritic gives it a 53%. So it's kind of like 50-50, right? You know, Hollywood cares about Rotten Tomatoes. And usually sometimes Rotten Tomatoes gets it right. What do I rate this film? I rate Emancipation on Apple Plus. I rate it an 8 out of 10. The reason why I rate this film an 8 out of 10 is because of the acting overall. Clearly, it's a Will Smith movie, so Will Smith has to act his behind off. It is one of the first films I was actually able to watch in black and white and not get aggravated. I like the way that it was shot. I see the artistry there. The story, it flows. There's a purpose, there's a destination, and we get to the ending, and it's seamless. There were points in the movie where I was like, how is this possible? And okay, this seems a little bit too, like, what? Okay, so this just happened to be there. But it was a good film, right? It played its role in how it needed to play it. So I give it an 8. Now we're gonna get into the full review. So if you don't wanna see the full review because you have not seen the film, stop this right here. go check it out and come back to the full review. You still here? All right, let's talk about it. So Will Smith has decided to play a slave. He decided to help us out and produce, okay, because he's a producer on this. Produce this film to have us see another black slavery kind of movie, and white people calling us the N-word and whipping us, and miss me with that, because I'm tired of seeing that, right? But that's what we're getting. So he gets separated from his wife and his kids, and he's brought off to help with this racetrack, with this railroad, to build this railroad. And I'm aggravated, I'm upset, I'm mad, because even before they put him on the cart, they threatened to shoot his wife because Will Smith is, you know, fighting and not wanting to leave his family. It's a lot of that already. It's already a divide. It's already, I hate, you know, oppressors already, right? That's why I don't like watching slave movies. And so, you know, they're transporting black people to an area to help build a railroad under inhumane conditions, ridiculous conditions. They're walking barefoot at points, they're getting whipped, they're working in the hot sun, no water, slop for food, they're getting called all kinds of names, they're not getting paid, they're just slaves. And you know, you see the turmoil in all of the faces, you see the anguish, the abuse, the blood, the sweat, the tears. I'm annoyed. I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to get through this film, to be honest. Why am I getting through this film? Because of Will Smith. Is Will Smith that important to me? Yes, he is. So I'm forcing myself to watch this film. I don't like slave movies. And so there was some moment where, you know, one of the guys was helping along the line, and then he falls. And then one of the white people just start whipping him. One of the oppressors start whipping him. And then Will Smith steps up. Okay, then there's another situation where something happens, Will Smith steps up, right? Will Smith is like the guy that seems to be like the champion for the black folks. You know, he's telling people to believe in God, and God has you. And just think about this as like a job. It's a horrible job. You don't want to work this job, but think about it like a job, right? Because we all have to work. So let's just look at it like that, right? Then one of the slaves that escapes early on in the film, he's dragged by a rope on horse. Like the horse is dragging him, and he's being dragged back into the camp, right? Then he's getting beat and beat and beat. He ends up in the holding cell with Will Smith and the other workers, and he's just like going through it. Great actor, by the way. Did the dang thing, right? And, you know, Will Smith giving his little monologue to one of the other slaves, and he's like, you know, just think about God. God has you, and all that God stuff. And then the guy that was dragged in by the horse is like, oh, where's your God? Your God is not here. Your God wants us to go through this. Your God wants us to deal with this. Your God wants us. Your God, your God, your God. Well, he has a point. But Will Smith, as Peter, gives a response that I've never seen in a movie before. Maybe it has been a response in a movie, but I've never seen it. And his response to, you know, the character's anti-religious thoughts and anti-God thoughts is that, you know, I always wondered why there were people out there that didn't see God and didn't know that God was real, and for whatever reason didn't believe in God. And you know what? I'm sorry that you don't have that, or you don't see God the way that I see God, or God is not allowing himself to be seen by you. Something along them lines, he said, right? Paraphrasing. And he was like, I'll pray for you one day that you'll see God the way that God presents himself to me. Something along them lines. And I was like, wow. I mean, you know, I never heard it like that before, said it like that before. So that was great. You know, that was really, really great. It hit me home because God don't present himself that way to me either. So, you know, I felt it, you know? And so it's a lot of scenarios about, you know, Will Smith stepping up and Will Smith being challenged because he's stepping up to the oppressors or whatever the case may be. And then out of nowhere, one of the oppressing gods, the oppressors, they say to another oppressor that, oh, Lincoln has freed the slaves. Lincoln has freed the slaves. And so a couple of them hear that. Will Smith is a couple of them and a couple of other people. They hear that. And so now their minds are ringing. Black people are supposed to be freed. Slaves are no more. Why am I still in these conditions? Oh, because they don't want to do what Lincoln is saying, and they want to keep building and keep building and keep building and keep making the money and keep making the money. So we get to a point where one of the slaves dies, And one of the oppressors is telling Will Smith to carry the slave to a body pit where all the dead bodies are. I can't imagine. The mind that I have today doing this video right now, there's no way this mind could be implanted into a body that is alive during that time. Just the living conditions alone, but to be a slave and have, there's no way. But he has to take the body to the pit or whatever. He's putting the body in the pit. And interestingly enough, there are white people that deserted the cause and that were captured and are slaves too. They're not treated as poorly as the black people are, but they're tattooed with deserter on their chest and they're made to work in those hard conditions as well, right? So some white people are in charge of the death pit and they have to throw limestone on it to mask the smell of the bodies. So, you know, the white person is complaining, the oppressor, the deserter is complaining about the smell or whatever. And one of the oppressors is like, why aren't you doing your job over here? You should be throwing lime on this to mask the smell. And so the deserter is like, well, why don't you have him do it? He's a Negro. Have the slave do it or whatever. And so before he could even get Will Smith to attempt to do it, Will Smith notices that the oppressor is pulling out a gun. The oppressor is probably going to shoot Will Smith because Will Smith and this particular oppressor have been going neck and neck at it for the last however many days that he's been out here. And so Will Smith sees this and he decides to take a shovel of the limestone, smacks it in the oppressor's face, which blinds him. Then he goes and beats up the dude, the other oppressor that was to the side of him with the shovel. And then he goes back to the oppressor that was going to pull out the gun, beats him, kills him, and he takes off running. Okay, mind you, he said that he was going to escape to a couple of the other slaves, and a couple of the other slaves were like, "Yeah, I'll go with you. I'll go with you." It's chaos at this point. The slaves are wanting to run away. They're all dispersing in different areas, and so the captain of this slave camp gets wind of it and he starts shooting people. People start dying, right? 3 people run off in Will Smith's direction. So there's 4 of them running away and they're doing really good. Will Smith's thing was like, let's run to the swamps. We can go to where Lincoln is and his armies is. Let's go to the swamps or whatever, right? They get to the swamp and one of the guys don't want to jump in the water because he's scared of alligators, crocodiles, and all of that coming. And so he stays behind, he gets got, right? They get to the opposite end of the swamp and then they split up because the guy that was anti-religious, that spewed out anti-religious stuff to Will Smith in the holding cell was like, you're gonna get me killed. I know where I'm going this way. So Will Smith is like, well, maybe we should all split up. That way they're not all coming after us all at once, right? So they split up. So it's a major portion of this film is Will Smith trying to get away. He's in crazy situations, right? And this is where the acting comes in because he has to sell it and he sells it all the time. Every single scenario he's in, he sells it. He sells it when he's wrestling with the alligator or the crocodile. He sells it when he runs past the house with the people eating on the porch. They're getting fanned by the slaves. And the one child with the missing tooth talking about, we got a runner, we got a runner. Okay, we see it when he has to hide from the oppressors under the tree and he watches the anti-religious dude get killed. And the anti-religious dude didn't sell him out, right? And you know, one part in this film in particular that really got me, the first moment that really got me emotional in this film was when the 3 of them were there and they were like, we need to separate, okay? Because the anti-religious one was giving problems and he was like, let's separate. So Will Smith tells one of the cooperative slaves that we need to separate. And what touched me in that moment was the guy didn't want to leave Will Smith's side. And he asked Will Smith, he was like, are you mad at me? And when he said that, immediately you feel something. Because here we have, they're in these slave camps and Will Smith is like this angel. Can be seen as this angel, can be seen as this hero, can be seen as this guy that sees a future of freedom for them, right? And this man over here is wanting to follow him because he believes in what he's saying. And when Will Smith was like, we need to split up, he does not want to split up from Will Smith because he wants to find freedom too. So good, okay? And then when he says out his mouth, he was like, you're not mad at me, are you? Like, are you mad at me? That's why you're pushing me away? I want to go with you. I want to be free too. Listen, got me there. The acting, phenomenal in this film. That's why I'm rating it at 8, okay? So Will Smith goes through all these situations, all these scenarios, and he's doing his dang job. He's doing his dang job. Then we get to the beach. He sees the war up ahead, and the captain of the enslavement camp finds him, and I'm like, oh man, don't tell me we done went through this whole movie. He running throughout this whole stuff. He running, and now he about to get got at the end. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. But he doesn't get got. Okay, the captain gets got by the black soldiers from Lincoln's camp or Lincoln's army or whatever. And it's just, oh, it's so good. It's just so good. Like, you can just see it. He's tired. He's exhausted. He went through shooting the dogs. He went through killing the other people and to get away. And he finally makes it to the army camp. Okay. And then Will Smith has a great moment in a monologue to one of the captains of the Lincoln Army, one of the Lincoln Brigades or whatever you call them. And that to me was a moment that I felt that would have gotten Will Smith another award. But Will Smith ain't gonna get no awards no time soon. But I cried on that moment. If you go to my Instagram, you'll probably see it if you've seen this video in a decent amount of time. Because the way that he delivered that monologue was impeccable. And so, long story short, trying to make this a short video as best as I can, you know, we get to the ending and it's a great ending. It's a happy ending. And so for that, I give it an 8 out of 10. Great film, great cinematography, great conclusion at the end. And it's just an all around a solid film. It sucks that Will Smith won't be able to reap the award benefits from this film, but I don't know, a 45% Rotten Tomato, I don't think he would have gotten that score had he not had his debacle at the Oscars. But that's neither here nor there. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you thought about Emancipation. Did you like it? Are you tired of seeing slave films? Yeah, give me your likes and your dislikes. Thank you for watching. Please like this video. The more you like this video, the more it's seen. Leave comments and share this video. Appreciate you. Deuces.